Hi, so I wanted to do a quick video today to talk about method swizzling and what that is and why you'd want to use it and why you wouldn't want to use it. And it's one of the more powerful features that's part of the whole Apple ecosystem. So there's a concept with JavaScript that's pretty popular. It's called monkey patching. And what monkey patching basically means is that, let's say you have an object with methods on it and or properties, and you want to essentially be able to replace those. But you want to replace those essentially at runtime. That's actually one of the things that's very nice about JavaScript is it's very malleable. A lot of people don't like that feature of JavaScript. They prefer it to be a little bit more static. But the thing that's pretty nice about Objective-C is that Objective-C, unlike a lot of other statically typed languages, gives you a lot of flexibility as far as being able to manipulate classes at runtime. So I wanted to show kind of a quick example of what that would look like. So if we come over here, we can see that I have this little console program that I wrote. And what it's doing here is it's taking this text calculator and it is coming in here and it is setting the revenue. So let's say the revenue is at 100,000. And then I have this method I can call on it called what are my taxes, and then it'll return what the method is. So if I come here and I run this, we can see here it's returning back 39,000. So if I go and look at the implementation of this, one of the things we'll see here is I have this method in here called what are my taxes. And in that method, it's just going here, it's figuring out what the revenue is, and then it's multiplying this tax rate here. Well, this is an example of something that wouldn't be considered good code because we are essentially hard coding a value. So let's say, the laws change. This is very common with, let's say, time changes as an example. There's always new legislation that comes out that changes, when daylight savings time starts, and you have to go through and you have to basically manipulate a lot of code. So the problem with that is a lot of times you may have libraries and things like that that you're using where you may not have access to the original code, but you may need to be able to make changes. And so one of the things that's nice about method swizzling is that you can replace a method at runtime. So let's take a quick look and see how we would do that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is I am going to create a new category. So I'm coming over here, I'm selecting an Objective-C file, and I want to make this a category, and I'm going to call this Rates 2018. Next, and we'll go ahead and add that. And so here's our new class. So what I want to do is I want to bring over or create a new method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a method here, and I'm going to call this swizzled what are my new taxes. So I'm going to go over here to the header file, and I'm just going to add in this new method. Now, in order to implement that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same thing, come over here into the implementation file, and here's what an implementation might look like. So here I've got a new rate, and I've set it to 21%. Now, in order to get that overloaded, there's a couple things I need to be able to do. It's not true overloading; it's an actual replacement. So what I'm going to come over here and do is I'm going to import in the Objective-C runtime, just like that. Now the Objective-C runtime. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to overload the load method. So to do that, I'm just going to come over here, type in void, and load. Now I have overloaded the load method. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a quick condition check just to make sure that the class is what we're looking for. So I'm going to say self is going to be equal to text calculator.self. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a feature in, let's see here. This is the part of the threading system that's available inside of Objective-C. I'm going to say static dispatch once. And let's see here. We'll make this a once token. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call dispatch once. And we're going to pass in that once token. All right, and then here's where we put our code. So what this is going to do is this is going to make sure that this is only ever dispatched once. So we don't have to worry about this code running multiple times. It's only going to run once. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get a reference to the class itself. So I'm going to say class, and we're going to make that equal to self class. Now we have a reference to the class. What we need to do is we need to get a reference to the actual methods. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to use the selector, and I'm going to set the original selector. I can remember how to type original. There we go. And we are going to set that to an @selector. In this case, we're going to set it to the original method implementation. And then we're going to do the same thing with our new implementation. So we're going to call this Swizzled implementation, or Swizzled selector. And this time we're going to say Swizzled, what are my taxes? There we go. So now we've got these two selectors for both methods. Now what we can do is we can actually go through and get the essentially the instance method for both. So there's actually a type in here called method, and I'm going to say original method is going to be equal to, and I'm going to say class underscore get instance method. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to pass in the class, and then for the selector, we're going to pass in the original selector. Now we have the original selector. Now what I do is I want to do the same thing here for our swizzled one. So I'm going to say swizzled method. It's going to be equal to class get instance method, and we'll pass in the class again. And this time, we're going to pass in the swizzled selector. So now we have both methods, and now what we can do is we can actually swap these out. So I'm going to use a method here called method exchange. Oh. Method exchange implementations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in the original method and pass in the swizzled method. So now I've actually come in here and I have swapped out the original what are my taxes method with the swizzled what are my taxes method. So now if I come here and I run this, we can see we have the new tax rate. So this is essentially is how you can swap that out. And it's a very powerful feature. It's one that a lot of developers like kind of frown on because you know once you start making changes at runtime, you get a lot of unexpected behaviors, but sometimes you can't change the original implementation. So it's a very, very handy technique for that. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down, but please give it a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. That helps me monetize the videos so I can make more videos like these. Have a nice day.